I thought we already talked about this.
No, there's a lot of Marvel stuff, buddy.
Oh,
All right.
why didn't we just
And
talk
I
about it
don't know quite
together?
what Stinger is for what, quite frankly, because it's a
That
lot
was
of Marvel
that was my
stuff.
best stinger of the day.
I was not saying that.
Well,
I was just saying I thought we already did, but
well, no, we're talking about this. So this is it is the wider things at large here. Marvel Studios reportedly only chose Kang as multiverse saga villain after Jonathan Majors received positive buzz over Loki cameo. And
are
this
they
again,
trying to
Positive,
backdoor out of him or what?
yeah, positive
Whoa.
buzz from the 10 people that watched Loki season 1.
yeah. Well, it's that conversation about how they just don't know what this is the sort of end cap to the whole video itself, right? The whole stream itself. Every single piece of news that we've covered, Marvel being exposed for what they are, a company that goes from movie to movie, not quite understanding where they're going, just generally testing the water here and there, which isn't actually a bad thing generally if you're thinking about a business side of things. It's actually quite good to do stuff like that, but it's also bad when you portray yourself as someone that has a grandiose plan, and then because they've betrayed that, they drink their own Kool-Aid and they start doing things which just doesn't really make any sense, like, you know, expanding outwards into these stupid Disney Plus shows that now connect to everything else and having to tie it all together. This is part of that. So there was no big bad villain of the multiverse saga. They literally chose Kang because of a cameo.
Wow. Great choice. Great way to make the choice. Oh, this guy
So
get a
balanced.
cameo. It's people seem to like him. Yeah, let's make him our villain. Well, like you'd think that the people who, you know, plan the MCU up to Thanos and stuff would have been like, all right, who's the next bad guy? Before they even got to Endgame, who's the next bad guy? What's the next phase of this? Where are we going after this? And already have that nailed down before the Loki show even filmed. They should have had this locked down. And it should have been somebody like Galactus or, you know, somebody like that, like another big, huge villain that is not just a main villain that could, you know, destroy the world or anything, but, you know, the entire universe and everything. So I don't know. Kang is just it was underwhelming for me personally, but
Oh, massively. So this all comes from that book. You know, this book here. So the Reign of Marvel Studios, you know, the MCU basically. Speaking to the studio's decision to begin heavily relying on the multiverse as a narrative tool, the authors recalled how the concepts at MCU debut in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness opened up new possibilities for storytelling, however, and new avenues for fan service. This also sounds incredibly condescending, by the way. Multiverse of Madness featured not only the all-star Illuminati with John Krasinski, Patrick Stewart, but 4 different versions of Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. Marvel Studios believed that audiences could follow complicated contingency timelines without comic book style explanatory captions and tried not to abuse that trust. So Marvel thinks audience isn't utterly moronic, I guess.
right.
How? Yeah. Very, very condescending, right?
Yeah.
Well, they said earlier than that other thing that they didn't know what the audience really wanted anyway. So,
Oh my
This is
god.
why, exactly. So phases 1, 2, and 3 of the MCU have been collectively known as the Infinity Saga. 4 and 5 and 6 were dubbed the Multiverse Saga. The saga's antagonist, introduced in Loki as He Who Remains, and then showcased in the movie Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, was the time-traveling Kang, a character who had so many different versions and iterations in Marvel comic books that writers and fans had long ago given up on keeping them all straight. I don't think that means gay. I think it just means keeping them straight down the line. I mean, it could be, in fairness. I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to assume the whatevers. According to one Marvel source, Kang was not originally intended to be the overarching villain of the multiverse saga. The decision to elevate him to a Thanos level threat, he's absolutely not. He was beaten by Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Was based on the positive buzz around Jonathan Majors' generated in the role of As He Who Remains. Disney flexed its marketing muscles for Kang's cinematic debut, hoping to get as many eyes as possible on Major's performance and to hype 2 post-credit sequences, promoting his central role in both Loki and film. In the closing moments of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, thousands of versions of Kang crowded an arena. All of them wore the face of Jonathan Majors. Not since Robert Downey Jr. had the studio placed so many chips on one actor. And here's what they say.
You shouldn't have betted on black. In this case, Passenger 57 reference there. But yeah, wrong bet, guys.
Massively. Here's how they justify it. Although the reviews for Quantumania were woeful and its box office dropped by 69% in its second weekend of release, Jonathan Majors was immune to criticism. His performance was lauded as the highlight of the movie and the de facto future of the MCU. It was only like a good performance amongst shit. Doesn't mean it's an Oscar-winning performance. It just means it's the best part of a pile of shit. That's not high praise, guys. He is the best part of the movie, but that doesn't mean. Well, that just goes to show how bad the movie is. Anyway, there we go. Terrible. This is them just falling apart, crumbling away, everything being exposed, an unauthorized, book about it all. What do we think? I'll go to you first now, Culture.
I think that their decision-making process is flawed, which we've already talked about at length. I think that, again, I'm going to say something I said the other night. Their data-driven strategy is always produces terrible results because they don't collect enough data, they don't collect the right data, and they don't analyze the data properly. They allow for a whole lot of guesswork when it comes to selecting things, including the demand metric that you get straight out of Parrot Analytics, which is a flawed system from the word go. And I think that you're ultimately going to arrive at characters that are terrible, like Kang, regardless of the actor and whether or not they can perform, as the character. I think that on the whole, Disney is struggling because they have once again entered into something they never planned for. They never had a linear structure to get from point A to point B, and they've been obsessed with introducing the modern audience characters along the way in uninteresting, underviewed, underperforming television programs that most of the audience, even here in the chat today, is referred to as homework. And I think that they're going to continue to struggle for a very long time when these are the ways that they make decisions. I mean, we keep mentioning the politics of it all, but you set all that aside, and at the end of the day, it's all about story. Well, they've not been able to tell a compelling story since the end of the Infinity Saga. So there you are. Those are my thoughts.
I agree. Tom's dead.
Tom's dead.
Nick.
I don't care about Kang.
Yeah, same. I don't care about Kang. The thing is, if I was doing if I got put in charge to do a Harry Potter series, I've not watched the movies. I know nothing about Harry Potter at all. But I would go get a lore master or talk to J.K. Rowling, the one who created it, and get some input. I wouldn't go out and say, let me just throw this show together and then say, oh, they seem to like this character, so I think I'm going to go with that. Like their whole process is backwards. They need to get people that are highly knowledgeable with Marvel, with the comics, and plan from there and go from there, not just take some random data that they get from a Disney Plus show that nobody's watching and then bet on that and make that your focal point. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like you said earlier, you know, it is good to do that to get like audience reactions and kind of test the waters, that sort of thing. But for your main villain in the next phase, there should have been a little bit more homework done than Loki season 1. Just more dumb decisions by Disney over there. You know, what can you do? What can you say?
It screams incompetence, doesn't it?
Big time.
Absolute jokers. And that is why we titled today's podcast, your favorite podcast, ladies and gents, Marvel Gets Exposed, because there's just so many of these examples coming out. And they must be really pissed. Really pissed behind closed doors. So yeah, I do enjoy it. It's comical stuff.